Expressions such as "our people" are our greatest resource. We must empower all our employees, and getting the best out of our people have become clichés in recent years. The intention and the meaning remain as valid as always, but nothing has been done about it, so these expressions have become hollow words. Changes in the ways we manage, lead, in our behaviors, attitudes and mindsets, and organizational structures are needed in order to provide substance to these clichés, and coaching is the catalyst to change. Organizations are constantly evolving, some faster than others. We can map this evolution to certain paradigms of thinking and doing. These evolutions and transformations can also be seen, understood, and led using the Integral Agile framework. Let's look at some of the characteristics of each altitude. The metaphor for amber is that a good organization should be run like an army. Within a rigid hierarchy, there must be a clear chain of command, formal processes, and clear-cut rules that stipulate who can do what. Amber organizations have a rigid, hierarchical, and stable organizational structure where all decisions are made top-down using command and control, and people comply with authority. The underlying belief is that people are replaceable resources and cannot be trusted, therefore they need supervision and control. Ego expands from me to the group. You are either part of the group or you are not, us EVs them. So we can find rigid silos and blame when something does not go as planned. Amber values order, stability, and predictability. They look for stable processes. The future can be planned based on past experiences. Plan and execution are separated. The thinking happens at the top, the execution at the bottom. Amber's worldview paradigm is that workers are lazy, dishonored, and in need of direction. Innovation, critical thinking, and self-expression are not asked for, and often discouraged. Information is shared on an as-needed basis. People are effectively interchangeable resources. Individual talent is neither discerned nor developed. We just need to follow the rules. Heavy use of titles, ranks, and uniforms. You are your title. Orange organizations are competitive, goal-oriented, and innovative. The organization is seen as a machine that needs experts to make it efficient. Success is measured in goals, monetary goals that are used to measure, evaluate, and judge their employees. They use targets and performance metrics. Orange organizations value rationality, and feelings are out of place. Collaboration is useful if it leads to economic success. The paradigm in orange organizations is something like everyone can move up the ladder and become CEO. Growing leadership in orange organizations means moving up the ladder. The world is no longer fixed. It is a complicated system that can be investigated and understood. The person can begin to imagine different possible worlds or outcomes. What if? With this cognitive capacity, one can question authority, group norms, and the inherited status quo. Answers do not rely on the highest authority, but on expert advice. Assumption: achieving our next goal, promotion, house, partner, will make us happy. We live in the future, consumed by mental chatter about the things we need to do so as to reach the goals we have set for ourselves. Focused on achieving results. When we move from amber to orange, we move from command and control to predict and plan. Innovate more and faster and become more competitive. Management by objectives. Management sets the what and employees set the how. Management defines objectives, predict, and teams follow up, plan, and execute. People tend to wear a professional mask. One must always look busy, but composed, competent, and in control of the situation. Our identity is no longer fused with our rank and title. Instead, it is fused with our need to be seen as competent and successful, ready for the next promotion. In most workplaces, while the precise uniform may be out of fashion, the signs of status are not. Senior managers have spacious corner offices, enjoy reserved parking spaces, fly first class, and receive generous stock options while their subordinates fly coach and work in cubicles. Perks are not incompatible with meritocracy. Leaders have the biggest impact on the organization's success, so they must be given the means to succeed. Besides, they deserve it. If you are smart and work hard enough, these benefits could be yours too. The dominant metaphor of Green Org is that of a family. Employees are part of the same family, ready to help each other out and be there for one another. The word employee is replaced by the words colleague or member. Green organizations start paying attention to equality and relationships over objectives and outcomes. Agile values were probably born in this paradigm. Human interactions over processes and tools is one example that places more value on relationships than established processes. The organization is viewed as a family. Company values are really lived in green organizations. They are not just a beautiful poster on the wall or a quote from someone famous. Hierarchies still remain in green organizations, but they tend to be flatter. Equality and deep democracy are real practices and beliefs, not just marketing tools for society. Leadership in green organizations means being an influential change agent regardless of the position in the hierarchy. For people operating from this perspective, relationships are valued above outcomes. Pluralistic green strives for bottom-up processes, gathering input from all, and trying to bring opposing points of view to eventual consensus. Orange glorifies decisive leadership, while green insists that leaders should be in service of those they lead. Although the meritocracy hierarchical structure from Orange remains, decisions are pushed to the frontline workers without management approval. Decentralized decision-making. Green leaders should be servant leaders listening to their subordinates, empowering them, motivating them, and developing them. Much time and effort is invested in helping people become servant leaders. Candidates for management positions are rigorously screened on their mindset and behavior. Green organizations often invest a disproportionate share of their training budget in courses for newly promoted managers to teach them the mindset and skills of servant leaders. Managers are evaluated based on 360-degree feedback. A strong shared culture is the glue that keeps empowered organizations from falling apart. In Orange organizations, strategy and execution are king. In green organizations, the company culture is paramount. The main metaphor for team is that of a network of people. The main breakthroughs are self-management, wholeness, and evolutionary purpose. No need for hierarchies or consensus. And the last one is teal organizations. Teal organizations are driven by an evolutionary purpose. They surpass the agile values and co-create their own that serve the current purpose. They are agile in nature, spirit, and practices. Management is almost not non-existent, and the org relies on self-managing teams. Leadership relies on coaching and mentoring. This is a radically different way of thinking. The belief is that people are and want to be great. They do what is right with no fear. Leadership in teal organizations resides in everyone and rotates as an organic emergence. Although the majority of companies and organizations in the USA are mostly centered in orange, we can say that many are transitioning or have transitioned parts of the organization to green. Examples can be seen in the message and actions organizations have to help their communities around, the importance of equality, or the impact they have on the environment. Our purpose as leaders is not to push our teams or organizations to evolve to teal or a higher level of complexity, but rather bring awareness of where we are, our possibilities, and what is healthy for us and society, and let the evolution emerge organically both individually and collectively. We are not saying that one of these paradigms is better than the other one. They have healthy and unhealthy manifestations, and they are all needed to a certain degree. Teal is the only one that is fully integral, meaning it acknowledges the healthy side of the previous paradigms and can use those to push the purpose of the organization forward in pursuit of something bigger than the organization itself. You will hear the word system being used, especially in this second section of the course. We can't impose our will on a system. We can listen to what the system tells us and discover how its properties and our values can work together to bring forth something much better than could ever be produced by our will alone. Systems can't be controlled, but they can be designed and redesigned. We can bring self-organization by writing the rules that govern where, how, and what the system can add to or subtract under what conditions. That is, setting some simple rules as a means for experimentation. To end this section of organizational agility, we are going to explore and practice two models or techniques we can use to design and redesign systems. A system is an organized collection of elements that are highly interconnected and interdependent to accomplish a collective function. Each element can affect the properties or behaviors of the whole. A system is composed of these three things. 1. Elements, the individual parts of the system, for example, team members. 2. Interconnections, the relationships between the elements in the system, for example, team members being part of the same team, communicating with each other, having similar expertise, etc. 3. Purpose or function, what the system achieves, for example, the goals, results, and achievements a Scrum team may have. Therefore, when we see a system, we can look at its individual parts. We can look at the system as a whole, and a very different way of seeing it is through their relationship. A system in this particular context is a group of people such as a team, a program, or an organization with a common purpose. So we can talk about relationship system intelligence as any group of interdependent entities or players with a common focus or identity. A Scrum team, for example. As you can see, this level of interaction requires a higher level of awareness, from self-awareness to awareness of others to awareness of their system itself, not as a collection of individuals only, but as an entity with its own identity. Tools such as Team Alliance, having crucial conversations, setting a conducive atmosphere, and revealing the voice of the system, among others, are needed to lead systems. A system produces what it is meant to produce. Purposes are deduced from behaviors, not from goals, starting with the premise that systems cannot be controlled, but they can be designed and redesigned. Our aim is to design a system that can self-organize. For self-organization, we can write the rules that govern where, how, and what the system can add to or subtract under what conditions. And these are simple rules. A means for experimentation. This model of adaptive action comes from Glenda Aoyang and Royce Holiday and can help us sense, make sense, and respond to systems high in complexity and uncertainty. O, the sensing is the what you see. What data can be tracked? What patterns can you see in the system? O, making sense is the so what. So what does it mean? The process of making sense. O, and responding is the now what. Now, what will we do? Moving into intentional action. I will illustrate this adaptive action with an example once we cover other necessary concepts. When we think of intentional actions, we can use the CDE model to design or redesign systems as experimentation and observe the new patterns emerging from the self-organizing system. The CDE model explains the three system conditions that influence self-organizing systems. Containers are similarities that contain the system, while patterns emerge. For example, a team may be a container, a practice like DSU or planning, a meeting, etc. Differences are the significant distinctions that hold tension and have the greatest influence on decisions and actions. For example, the differences a team may have in its team members from different technologies, product lines, business lines, and different skills, etc. Exchanges are the connections in the system that ensure the movement of information, energy, and other resources. For example, the process of estimating user stories is an exchange within a refinement meeting as a container. Let's practice the adaptive action and CDE model with an example. This is based on a real example. The container is a Scrum team daily stand-up. What do we see? What do we observe? We see that some members sit during DSU. They use a small monitor with a taskboard that is so small they can even use it. Managers interrupt and participate during the DSU. There is no situational awareness, meaning nobody knows what others are working on. So what does that mean? What do those patterns mean? It means that there is a lack of alignment and focus. There is little accountability, coordination, and visibility. It does not feel like a team collaborating on a backlog. Rather, it feels like individuals complying by showing up. There is no value in the conversation, and stakeholders do not know what is going on. Therefore, stakeholders ping the individuals to assign them work directly. Now, what small actions can we take? What can we change from this environment so that new behaviors emerge? We can modify the container, differences, and slash or exchanges. Remove chairs from the room. Remove the monitor. Replace with a simple wall Kanban board with stories. Set basic rules. One person starts and calls out the next one. Each person responds the 3 DSU questions. Non-team members raise hands for permission to talk. Longer discussions are taken offline. These changes in the environment will generate new behaviors, which we will observe and redesign by amplifying or removing. What do we observe after these changes? We see team members approaching the board on the wall. We see the team grabbing user story post-its and talking about those. We see the team planning and synchronizing on user stories. Therefore, team members own stories and increased situational awareness and coordination. More clarity to everyone, including stakeholders. We keep iterating on small changes. For example, increasing differences in user stories by using different colors of post-its. Asking the team what norms will help the DSU to be more effective. We transfer ownership onto the team so they own the DSU. How it is your turn to apply adaptive action and the CDE model. Identify a system or container from your organization to redesign. For example, a team refinement meeting, retrospective, a COP community of practice, a large planning event, etc. Apply adaptive action. What patterns do you currently see? So, what do those mean? So, what is the impact? Now, what small changes, CDE, can be applied? Once you design or redesign the new container, assess its new behaviors, function, and effectiveness using adaptive action again. Please complete all the activities before moving into the next section.